Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are having an economy masterclass. So welcome you all to this session. Now, economy in itself is a very evolving subject in the UPSC GS3 main syllabus, and we have to look at in the similar perspective to understand what's all is going in the mind of UPSC while framing the questions. Now, for especially for the 2026 aspirants, we need to be very clear about one thing, that the part in GS3, especially the agriculture and the internal security part, you have to prepare very comprehensively, because these are two parts where the syllabus is very well defined and the questions often tend to repeat a lot. For economy perspective as well, in this session we will be discussing the economy and agriculture both, which are both the macro part of economy, in which agriculture is an inherent part. So we will be discussing economy and agriculture in this class. Now, as you can see, I have the X factor notes open. Now what happens in economy is, economy in paper 1 is basically in paper GS3 is question 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the 10 markers. These are the agriculture questions, and it is 11, 12, 13 and 14, and these two are the agriculture. This is the most common thing that happens in agriculture syllabus, in the economy syllabus, in which these 4 questions are those of economy and the other 4 are of agriculture. Now what happens is, in the economy questions, there are a few caveats. I am treating economy and agriculture as a bit different in this. Okay. Now in economy the questions are a bit random. They are a bit current oriented, and it is difficult to prepare notes. Also, the substantiation part becomes very important. That is the data, committees and all. Okay. In agriculture part, the questions are very much predictable. They are less current oriented, and it is easy to prepare notes. Also, the substantiation part is easy to prepare. The datas and the committees are very much the same for every year. So once you prepare a list of model answers, a few model answers for the agriculture part, say, we'll just now look how the notes have very well defined subheads and the subtopics in which you have to prepare the notes. And we also have the micro themes that Civilsdaily provides. Then what we can do is we can easily form the notes for the agriculture part, and that will make our job very easier for the question number 3, 4, 13 and 14. Now for question 1, 2, if you were to talk about question number 1, 2, 11 and 12, that is the core economy questions. In the core economy questions, the main mindset is to prepare the broad understanding of these questions. What we have to do is we have to generate a lot of points. Now, the X factor notes are very good source in itself to understand how the making of sense, and different coachings often bring their notes as well, but I would say X factor notes are very good in this regard. I have read them also, and these are very good. Now to learn to generate points, what you have to do is you have to understand what the topic entails. You have to develop a very comprehensive understanding as to what is there in that topic and what are the angles from which I can think of. Say there's a particular topic which we'll see in the notes as well. So how broadly can I cover that topic to make a very comprehensive argument in my answer? That is the main part of the how you are going to answer the question and how you are going to get marks. So now in these questions, what we have to focus is on few things. First is developing a broad understanding. Okay. Then what we have to do is we have to learn point generation. To learn point generation, we have to learn to think. When we have these two things, we can go about answering any random question in the economy that comes, because mostly the questions are often bordering on the lines of randomness. We cannot accurately predict what questions are going to come, what questions are not going to come, And often what happens is we are stumped in the paper itself when we see a particular question. So we'll try to avoid that as much as possible. So for that, we have to rely on one good set of notes. We'll be looking at Civilsdaily's the X Factor notes today, and we'll be looking at how they can help you. Otherwise, if you are using any other coaching notes, you ensure that they are as comprehensive as these are. Okay, so these are a very good thing to have. Now, you have for economy, you have to do these things. Apart from that, you have to develop a data sheet or a fact sheet in which committees and all are there and the data is there. If any task force something is there, so that is there. So this is the thing that you will carry on the exam day with you. In the examination, before the examination hall, you will revise. Once you will learn this, the art of generating points, as you will see right now in the notes, then this is all that remains for you in your copy, in your answer, to be reflected, to make it very unique and very generative of the answer that is required in a good UPSC answer. So now we will look at the how to prepare notes. See, X Factor notes are a very good source in itself. You can rely on them. But apart from that, if you find something that is a very different perspective that is maybe not covered in these notes, what you can do is you can add them in these notes, and when you are revising, you can use them very effectively. Okay. So now let's look at how we can ensure these four things via the notes. These are a few topics that we have to cover in the syllabus. These are issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and employment. Then there's inclusive growth. Then there's Indian economy, the recent budget, the economic survey, how is the banking sector in India performing, what are the money and capital markets performing, how is the infrastructure development in India, what are the initiatives etc. taken, what is the India's industrial policy and what are the ramifications of it, and the global economic institutions. These are the 10 broad topics that we have to cover from a notes perspective to not be blindsided by any question in the examination which others are not being blindsided by. So what we have to ensure is we are not at a relative disadvantage in the main paper. For that, we have to prepare these 10 topics very comprehensively to ensure that even if any bouncer question comes that is not from these 10, it is for all of them, because nobody can prepare very comprehensive notes in economy. As I said, in GS3, agriculture and internal security are the only two topics in which you can prepare very comprehensive notes and very exhaustive notes from which you can exactly replicate in your examination paper. So we'll look topic by topic how we can use these notes to make our answers look better. What these notes are doing, these are issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment. So what they have given is, in the beginning itself, they have given a lot of PYQs to give you a broader understanding of how these PYQs can help in predicting and understanding what the UPSC question etc. actually demands. So for this, you can see like these are the major topics of issues of planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment. So you can use you should be writing these questions and their model answers to develop a comprehensive understanding of whether the notes you have prepared are able to answer these questions or not. These questions should be answered after you prepare your notes and after you have revised them, so that when you try to write the answers of these questions, you have a very nuanced and elaborate perspective of what you are missing from an answer. So that is very important. So now if you see, first topic is the national income accounting. So see, if there's a question on what is the significance of what is national income accounting analyze. So when the question of this sort comes, first of all you have to address what is national income accounting, then you have to tell what are the challenges of national income accounting, then you have to tell what is the way forward of how we can improve what are the challenges of national income accounting. So what happens is, especially in this phase between the pre and the mains phase, in which we have not prepared a very comprehensive set of notes and not developed our thinking as well, we tend to be very challenged by how to use a particular set of notes for our advantage. So I'll try to explain this here. Instead of making your own notes and wasting time in that kind of effort, what you can do is you can use these notes directly and start writing answers which will ensure that you use these notes, use these points in your answers to make your own answer. And if you're somehow missing some of these points, then you can highlight these points in your PDF, and then when you try to revise them next time, because you already know what you know, so when you are highlighting these, you'll know what you don't know. So these notes will directly help you in understanding what is exactly in the economics national income accounting topic that you are missing. So these are direct substitute of your own notes because of paucity of time, which you can use directly, and these are very good notes as well. If you can see the first head or subhead, they have already given significance of national income accounting, yeah, along with the good intro. So these are kind of topic wise model answers as well, which you can directly replicate in your answers. They have given it in the point format, as I was saying, methods of calculating. If you can see, if I was to say significance of national income accounting is it helps in computing core measures, then it helps government in policy formation, it helps in welfare planning, it helps in sectoral analysis, it helps in accentuating living standards as well. You know how, if there's proper accounting, you know what are the actual living standards in the country, then you can make a cross country comparison, you can make investment decisions, you can use it for employment and inflation calculation. So if you are to broadly see, these all points are very comprehensively addressed in this PDF. You can think on these lines and you can generate answer on any topic. See, if you can think on comparison point of view, investment point of view, inflation and employment point of view, sectoral point of view, then these kind of things will help you in making your answer full of points and very multi-dimensional. So you have to ensure that you use this PDF very, very wisely. Then you have what are the challenges. Now there must be some challenges in the national income accounting. Some are the data is not accurate, sometimes there's double counting, then there's black money issue where parallel economies are there, then there are environmental blind spots, depreciation estimation is often looked over, then there's quality of growth that's not focused, then there's non-monetized sector, non-market activities, and you have the methods of calculation. The income method, the expenditure method, and the production method. Same for the GDP. Say there's a question, what is GDP? Analyze its significance in India's growth story, or in its significance in understanding how the different GST calculation mechanisms are affecting. So in that you can use these notes directly. Say there are changes, what are the recent changes? Now you don't have to go anywhere to focus on what are the exact changes I need to. They have written this big article on what are the changes introduced, then you have to make 1, 2, 3, 4 points out of it for your own benefit. They have done it already for you. What you have to do is you have to use these notes very nicely to use them in your answer as it is, to make your point in the answer copy. So if you are to see what are the recent changes that were introduced in the GDP calculation. First, there was a new base year. Then the CPI and IIP were rebased from 2020 to 2024. Then the GST and PFMS data were widely used for central government. Then we had the E-Vahan and ASUSE. Okay. Then we have the refined deflation, the SUT framework, supply and use table framework. Then we have the platform economy, in which the intermediary platform and the gig workers are comprehensively analyzed for and talked about. Then they have the direct state estimate. So if you are able to see, if you write these 8 points in your answer is done for. You are very well suited to write a very good answer if you are able to do these notes thoroughly. Now you must, what are the reasons that these changes are happening? So that also these notes are very well covering. That you have to capture the transformation, you have to ensure that what is the post-COVID normal, then the reduced proxy reliance on the indicators, like we can use the indicators like GST and all rather than the proxy indicators that we were using earlier. Then we can harness digitization, then we can set the global standards, then we have the emerging sectors that were not earlier accounted for, which were earlier marginal, but they now play a very significant role in our economy. So what we can do is we can use these sectors if we were to update the GDP calculation, we can use these sectors very comprehensively in the national income accounting, in the GDP calculation. Then there are the informal sector gaps, then there's quarterly consistency. Then these notes also tell you the major criticisms of what there are. So often there is growth overestimation, then there's investment contradiction, MCA 21 concerns, then there's tax mismatch, then there's informal measurement, then there's transparency gap. If you were to see, you get 8 points of very crisp answers that you can use them directly in your answer copy. You don't have to apply your brain as such. You just read them, assimilate them, understand them, and reproduce them as it is in your copy, and they will fetch you marks 110%. So you have to ensure that you have one stop source, which can be this one, where you can use these kind of notes to enhance your answer quality. Don't run behind making your own notes at this point, especially for the mains 2026 aspirants. Try to replicate these in your answers. Study them, assimilate them, and then reproduce them. If you what you don't reproduce, highlight them, revise them, again reproduce them in your answers. That is the process of how you improve for an answer. Okay. So what is the way forward? We have to revise the base, then we have to introduce PPI, publish sources and methods, strengthen state capacity, institutionalize updation, independent commissions, real-time data, and beyond GDP. We have to look at beyond GDP as well. So these are a few way forward that we can use. Apart from that, these are certain pre-specific data which you can use as value addition in your answer copy. See, say if you were to give introduction here, then you can write GDP MP is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M, and box it and show to the examiner that you are knowledgeable in this regard. This will help you fetch marks. So you can use these tables as well to accentuate your marks. Okay. Then you have the alternatives to the GDP. Then you have the topic of potential GDP. So they have covered it very comprehensively, very nicely. You can do that. Okay. And we have the savings rate. What is savings rate? So if there was a question on savings rate or related to savings rate, why is there decrease in savings rate in India as such, or increase in saving rates? So you can use this formula directly as a value addition in your answer just after the introduction to show to the examiner that you are very well aware of what saving rate formula is, and you are technically aware. You're not just making things up, you are technically aware of the things in the question. So that is very helpful. So here you have data as well. What is the data? The decline in gross domestic savings fell from 34.6 to 29.7. Then you have the household saving dominance, that households contributed to 62% and non-financial corporations only 29%. Then you have the financialization, then the deposit shift from household saving fell towards 35 to 40% as markets gained. So that reflects a contrary perspective. And what are the reasons for decline? We have to look at these also. What are the reasons for decline? So one part is what you have to think. When you think, you will try to figure things out that okay, these might be the reasons, but now there's not that much of time. You only have 55 days for left for the examination. So I would say you can rely comprehensively on notes like these to make your understanding much broader and much specific. And again, I'll say this, write as much as you can. Don't just rely on rote learning these notes, wrote them and then write them and then see what you're missing out. Okay. There's rising household debt, inflation, erosion, post-pandemic spending is increasing. Then we have low rate environment, then there easier credit. And what is the impact? C8 impacts and the way forward. So these are topics. Just like unemployment is a very, very favorite topic of UPSC. Now, for topics like these, you have to have a very broad, comprehensive understanding. And it is the ideal thing is you should read a lot of text, you should read a lot of materials. But now is not the time for that. Now you can comprehensively rely on these notes to, see, they have given a data table here as well. You can directly use this data table in your answers, in your table, in your question paper, in your answer sheet to make a point, to use these notes to, and to make an impact on the examiner that you are well versed with data as well. So we'll try to make this happen. Now you have the core understanding part. What is the type of employment? Frictional unemployment, structural, cyclical, season, disguise, unemployment, voluntary. So how to use this, I'll tell you. See, suppose there's a question on unemployment. Now you have limited points over that. To fill the space, you will need a smart art. So what you do is, you make a hub and spoke model, okay, and take out 8. Okay, and now you can write types of unemployment, and then frictional, structural, cyclical, disguised, underemployment, seasonal, voluntary, and chronic. Now this alone would make such an impact on the examiner that okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. and this will really help you get marks in the main paper. So this is how you can use these notes directly in your answer copy. Again, suppose the methodology is asked, even if methodology is not asked, you are just asked how India computes unemployment. So what you can do is you can make method, you can use methods after the intro and bring out 6 points to use it as a smart art and after the intro, and this will definitely make an impact and cover up for the vacant space in your answer, and it will also add in making 6 additional points in your answer. So that you have to ensure that these notes are used in this way format, not just content but for value addition as well. That is what I'm talking about. So now way forward in methodology, like use big data. How can we improve our methodology? So we can use big data, we can include underemployment, we can use higher frequency to conduct data collection very frequently. Then we can have timely releases. We can also align them with ILO and SNA, the standard sources, and align them that to have a global standing as well. So these are the things. Now here again you have 8 crisp points on what are the causes of unemployment. Always on unemployment there is most likely one question on inflation / unemployment is always there. So even if you were to somehow rote learn these 8 points and reproduce 6 for them, 6 of them even, that will be done for you. Your answer is done for. You have written an excellent answer if you can write 6 crisp points under the causes of unemployment head. So use these notes in these way. Use them to directly rote learn for your own sake, to develop an understanding. Instead of running after big texts, 200 pages just on unemployment, use these to make your life easier. Okay, so what are the causes of unemployment? There's jobless growth. The services use only under 30% of the workforce only is employed. And then we have the population growth. Then we have the technological change, automation हो रहा है. Then we have the capital intensive bias where investment flows to IT and these kind of industry rather than labor intensive industry, what India actually is. Then we have the skill deficit. Only, as we said, only 50% of the graduates, yes, about half of the graduates are employable as per India skills report. Weak machine manufacturing, informal employment, female workforce deficit. So these are 8 very different, very crisp points that you can use directly in your answers. Then you can also make a subhead there, what are the impacts of unemployment. Then there's lower potential GDP, per capita suppression, welfare burden, dividend to trap, urban pressure, rising inequality. As you can see, they have given you the core points that you have to use before the substantiation, or you can substantiate every point. You have to try to substantiate every point, but it is very difficult to substantiate every point. So we'll try to substantiate as much point as possible by using data like this, 8 to 9% growth, 17%, and this, and the data we have seen earlier. But what is important is to understand that examiner wants you to answer the question from different angles, and for this is a very brilliant source. Okay, now jobless growth के लिए arguments for and against you can use this directly, and you can also use government initiatives in substantiation which are very well given here, like the MG Narega, the E-Shram portal, the Swanidhi, the Vishwakarma, Day NRLM, VBRY, the internship, and this, directly quote them in your copies. When you use them directly, they will give a beauty to your answer. They will help you answer these questions very comprehensively and will help you understand what exactly is required for the question as well. This will help you make the point what you're trying to make easier as well. So we'll try to do this also. Now, what can we do to better employment generation as well? So we can go for labor intensive manufacturing. As we said, use the challenges as way forward. Strengthen MSMEs. You can do scaling and apprenticeship. Then you can go for non-farm rural jobs. Then you can go for digital and green jobs. Then you can implement the labor codes stringently. Use verbs before them. Okay. Urban employment guarantees, strengthen data systems. And again, whenever you are quoting these points, substantiate with these schemes. Just strengthening PMKY, KVY 4.0, leveraging NAPS 2.0. इस तरह से you have to go on using the schemes as substantiation points to make your argument solid. That is what we will do in economy questions. Again, a favorite question of UPSC comes on the FLFPR. Female labor force participation rate. Okay. Now, simply they have given the introduction as well. Is the ratio of labor force to women of working age. Then you have the facts that you can use as substantiators, or as I said in the smart art as well, you can use them. It stood at 40%. Then women participate. Worker population ratio was 38.8%. Then unemployment. What you can do is you can make some short notes out of these, like LFPR 40% 2025, WPR 38.8% 2025, rural 44.8. Just data sheet that I was earlier referring to, that you will carry into the examination on the day of the examination. When you have half an hour, 1 hour before the paper, so you will be revising these data, because there will come a point when you will be able to make these points after enough practice, but you can't remember the substantiation of each point. That becomes very, very necessary in itself. So we'll try to make a short data sheet from this document, like 40%, 38% for each data point, that we will use progressively in an answer. So we'll try to work on that. Then we'll see the factors that are there, then the significance, major constraints, way forward. So these documents provide a very comprehensive understanding in this regard. Then we have the gig economy as well. This is also a very one favorite area. Now you can see there are a lot of areas. If I were to just give you an overview, see, there's the gig economy, then there's labor law reforms, then there's informalization of the economy. Thing is that if there was something static that was to come into the examination, it will come from here only. It will come from these topics only. And if you are prepared on even one-pager notes on these topics, you are very well suited for the examination. If you can see, there are a lot of topics, and every one of them is equally probable of coming. There is no, you can guess whether this will come or not. In economy especially, any of these topics come. So what is more important is to develop a broader understanding of, say, why is the female labor participation low. So we showed 8 points. Now you don't just learn those 8 points, you try to develop an understanding, okay, why is the female labor participation low. Once you are able to understand it in 5-6 different perspectives, that will immediately give you a relative advantage over one who's just coming by rote learning something, or who is seeing the question for the first time and can't think beyond 3 to 4 dimensions. So this is what we have to do. We have to use these notes to develop our understanding, so that whenever a question of similar sort comes into the examination, we can use our own points, our own understanding, molding them into the what is the demand of the question, and forming an answer with a good number of points in the paper. That is what we have to do. See, informalization of economy is a very probable topic. Now we move to the second head. One question every year comes on inclusive growth compulsorily. Inclusive growth is one of the most favorite areas of UPSC, and one question has to come from inclusive growth. If you were to see PYQs, every year there is one question on inclusive growth. So we will have to use these notes very nicely to make a point in the examination that we are well read in the topic of inclusive growth. See, again, the PYQs they have given the data. They tell what is inclusive growth. It is the economic growth that is distributed fairly across the society and create opportunities for all. Comprehensive definition of the organization that is given the topic in FN itself. We'll just rote learn this and reproduce it in the examination. Then we can use a smart art. They have given a smart art as well. You can use this smart art exactly in the paper and reproduce it to gain an edge over other aspirants. There is a social dimension, economic dimension, political dimension, environmental dimension, and stakeholders. What are the stakeholders? Now, these are a few theoretical perspectives. There's a trickle-down economics, then there's bottom approach, capability approach, right-based approach, and Rawlsian approach. These are different approaches that, as I said, you can use them in smart art like this to make an examiner understand that you are well aware with the dynamics of the inclusive growth topic. Now, what are the major indicators for measuring inclusive growth? First, the MDPI is there. Then there's the Gini coefficient, Human Development Index, periodic PLFS survey, Inclusive Development Index. Again, whenever a question regarding comes inclusive growth, I have told you two smart art already. This also can come in a hub and spoke model as a smart art, or even as a core demand. Suppose there is a question, what are the major indicators of inclusive growth? You have the answer right in front of you. You just have to remember these: MDPI, Gini, HDI, PLFS, IDI, SDG, Global Hunger Index, and Financial Inclusion Index. and your answer is done for. Even if you write 1 or 2 points in front of them, your answer is under the subhead of major indicators is very comprehensively addressed if you are able to write even 6 points in this regard, because nobody will be able to write more than 3 or 4 points. So these are one-stop solution for you in a way. See, the graph is there. You can use the graph as well in the paper, exactly like this. Okay. Then what is the significance? Again, expands opportunity, balanced regional growth, income security, financial inclusion, opportunity, healthcare. Understand these. Develop an understanding. Okay, so if I were to promote inclusiveness, it will expand the opportunity in my nation. It will balance the regional growth. It will provide income security. And what all can happen if I were to force your mind to think on points. What all happen? What all will happen if I were to provide inclusive growth? So you will have financial inclusion, you will provide equality of opportunity, you will also give universal health care. So these all things, okay? Now, how will we ensure sustainability? Again, inclusive growth will ensure sustainability in all ways that growth can, if it were to be all inclusive. So it will give clean energy, SDG 7, then sustainable consumption, then resource protection, then sustainable livelihoods, and institutional sustainability. What they have given is they have reduced the burden of learning the SDGs as well. Use them directly as it is. Institutional sustainability SDG 16 and 7. So these, if you were to just remember the boldened part of this document, your economy and agriculture are done for. You are very comprehensively ready for question number 1 to 4 and 11 to 14 in the paper. Again, India's achievements, use them as value addition. Then you have the major challenges that are faced by India. So again, what are the challenges that India faces in inclusive growth that we have to write? So think of what are the challenges faced by different sections. All those different sections, the poor, the women, the marginalized, all those different sections, the problems that they face in India's not being included in India's growth story are the problems of inclusive growth. So in that way, you have to develop your thinking. See, there's income inequality, then there's top bottom wage gap, then there's interstate disparities, then there's jobless growth, then there's informal dominance, then there's female job quality, then there's healthcare inequality, then there's learning crisis. All these, if you were to understand just this part, that okay, what all these are the points on which I can think of. There's income inequality. So if there's income inequality, there is rural urban inequality, then there's women men inequality, then there's educated and less educated inequality, and all sort of inequalities are there. Then there's digital divide, etc. as well. So you can, even if there's 1 to 4 topics that you remember, you can make points on them very nicely as well. Okay, so this you have to really have a good look at for your own good. Then intergeneration equity, how can we achieve growth? So again, skilling, manufacturing push, female workforce enable participation, expand quality health, implement NEP, climate resilient agriculture, digital public infrastructure, and tax reforms. Okay, then again, this is the substantiation part I was talking about. The global and state level best practices. Take out 5 of them, use them as it is in your answers. Just write the bolden part in your answers, and your substantiation part is very well done for. See, say the emulating Kerala model, implementing Nordic welfare state, using Bangladesh's microfinance model, Tamil Nadu midday meal scheme, Andhra Pradesh SHGs, Rwanda gender inclusion, Brazil's Bolsa Familia, etc. etc. These all you have to really make use of for your value addition part. See, these also they have provided. And then there's current affairs notes as well. So you have one-stop solution for this, okay? Now we have the Indian economy part. Again, the PYQs, what are the challenges of fiscal policy? So first you have to define what is fiscal policy. It refers to the government decisions on public expenditure, taxation and public debt to regulate the economic growth. Okay, so again, you can use this as smart art. What are the objectives? Boost growth, public debt management, generate employment, reduce inequality, promote exports, promote social welfare, and environmental sustainability. And your answer is done for. If you have given 8 points, you have shown in the smart art as well that okay, before coming to the demand, this is the main demand of the question. This is what the fiscal policy aims to achieve. Apart from that, if the question asks what are the challenges, then you can go to the challenges in the way forward part. But this, if you are shown in the smart art, your space is managed, the copy looks good, you have written a lot of points, and that will show to the examiner that you are a very knowledgeable person in yourself. Again, this you can also use as value addition in your answer. This, suppose there is a direct question on what are the tools of fiscal policy. So these are the tools: the government expenditure, how much is happening, the taxation policy, the public borrowing, the transfer payments, the public sector investment, the fiscal incentives, the budgetary policy, and the counter cyclical measures that are happening. So these all measures are there. You have to understand them, what these are, and then use them in your answer as value addition, or if there's a core part of the question, then as core part of the question. What they have done is they have given the budget snapshot as well, so you don't have to run around looking for data sheets and all. Just pick up data, what you find you can use in the examination. Don't go for all the data because you won't be able to remember it. That is why I'm saying write a lot of questions. When you write a lot of questions, you will know what more major points come into your brain firsthand. When you are able to understand what major points come into your brain, then you will use these data and you will understand what are the major data that I can use in my points to substantiate my points, and then use what data is relevant from them, from the points that you frequently use. Suppose that you usually make a point that we have to increase the capital expenditure in the country. Now to substantiate that, you can directly use this data that budget 2026 has announced that 17.15 lakh crore is being allocated in the budget to the capital expenditure. That shows government's push. So these are the kind of data that you can use for yourself in the data. The fiscal deficit is there's question. So it is 4.3% of GDP. So it's decreasing from 4.4%. Then there's revenue deficit. Debt to GDP ratio is increasing a bit. Then there's interest payments. Then there's capital expenditure. These are the data you have to use. Then the budget. So these are the consolidated fund of India, public account, and these are the three which we have components of the budget, revenue classification. Now, what are the major issues in government budgeting? This is also a good question. This is the core topic of the question. What are the issues with government budgeting in India? So exactly, you don't have to run anywhere. You can use these content as well. Persistent revenue deficit is there, so we have issues there. We have rigid committed expenditure as well. Then we have chronic underestimation of deficits. Then we have over ambitious revenue forecasting, which is not realistic. That leads to mid-year squeezes here, as it said, mid-year squeezes. Okay. Then we have weak outcomes to outlay mapping. Remember these, the bold points. Develop an understanding of these. You will automatically answer any economy question, because this will also help you. This will help you develop an economic centric keyword bank in your mind, not necessarily on the paper, but when you will reread these things, it will help you understand that okay, if we am running out of any particular economy keyword, then you can use these words like weak outcomes to outlay mapping, shrinking divisible tax pool. These are some things that you should be on your tips that will help you understand the economy part. Okay. Moving forward, recent platforms are like these. Okay. Government expenditure, reasons for high government expenditure. What are the reasons? Subsidies, interest payments are high, defense expenditure high administrative cost, large public sector, social welfare schemes are there, a lot of them, and limited revenue generation. What I'm trying to understand is, with the extremely limited amount of time left for the mains paper, do not run behind big notes and big understanding part in the economy paper, because all in all it is around without the agriculture part, it is 4 questions only. Not for those 4 questions, you need to develop an understanding more than the reading everything under the sun. When you will read notes like these, what you will develop is an understanding of how to approach any economics question. What all factors do I need to think on to answer an economic question, so that even if any economic question comes on any particular rate in the world, I have at least the stakeholders from which I can think of, or of as to how these particular rate decline or increasing, or some particular policy coming in or going away will affect those stakeholders, and I can make points on them. The understanding part will come from notes like these, the X factor notes, but to implement them you have to write a lot. So rather than focusing on what the notes part is, rely on one good set of notes like these and then start writing. Even if you find something new, what you can do is you can add them in your notes, the printed notes. Do not run behind making your own notes. Often what happens is there's this, in everybody I've seen, there's an inertia of answer writing. People don't want to write answers, they don't want to do the effort of making their brain think on different dimensions. But I would reiterate it again and again: write and write. The more you write, the more you force your brain to think on to lines of how to generate points, how to think on different stakeholder dimensions. And then is the role of these notes as value addition material, and the point generation material and the understanding material comes into place. So what you have to do is you have to use these notes as a reading material, as an understanding material, as a one-stop solution for 2 to 3 readings. Do them very comprehensively and then start writing. Okay. Steps taken to increase in agriculture: aggressively budgetary scaling, interest-free state loans, national infrastructure pipeline. So this, if you don't know, read this to develop an understanding of what these are and how I can use them. Say if you did not know national infrastructure pipeline sort of thing existed, now you know once you have read. Now if there's a national infrastructure pipeline, there must be something, every area that pipeline covered, if that massive a project is happening across the country, then you can use it in railways, in roadways, in ships, in different sort of energy infrastructure, everywhere, because it's such a massive project. You can use national infrastructure pipeline everywhere. So this is how you have to use these kind of notes. Say there's Gati Shakti, then there's asset monetization pipeline, production link incentive schemes, then there's NIF, then there's custom duty rationalization. Make yourself aware with these kind of things. Okay. So this is the major thing that you have to do in economy part, that you have to develop an understanding. And if you can see, there's this is very comprehensive in itself. There's the fiscal consolidation, then there's the fiscal council, then there's direct taxes as well. Then there's a note on the income tax 2025 as well. So they have very comprehensively included the current affairs part as well to ease in your burden out. That is what I'm saying. Notes like these help you ease your burden of revising and collecting sources from. You read them and you already know 99% of the things around you. If there's even 1% of the thing, then it's new for everybody in the paper. Don't panic over that. Ensure that one good source of notes like these help you sail through. Again, indirect taxes, then you have types. Again, use it as a smart art. GST, customs duty, central excise duty, union excise duty, CVD, and SAD. And you have gained edge over others. Okay. Then there's GST in India. So they have covered it very well. What are the authorities under the mandate? Then there's CBIC in the state GST and all that. What are the benefits of GST? What are the achievements? What are the issues? Read them once. Understand them. What is there? We need to have a very spend. If this is like a 200-page PDF. So in these 200 pages, you have everything under you from in economy and agriculture perspective, from every dimension that is covered, that is needed for you to cover economy and agriculture very comprehensively. So use it for your own advantage. Understand it, how I can, work upon these points, how I can register these points. Once you even understand these points, you can automatically reproduce them, because then your mind will automatically think, okay, I know that GST has been a successful endeavor in itself. Now, what are the advantages? Now, when you'll start thinking, okay, you'll see what are the advantages. It has led to revenue expansion. It has led to elevated monthly benchmark. We see every year there's an increased government data on record-breaking revenue collection. Then there's transaction momentum that is increasing. Then there's rate rationalization. Then there's cascading effect that is going away. Then there's broadened compliance network. Then there's accelerated refund scheme that's there. So everything is going digitized. So these are the things that if you develop an understanding, you will automatically generate these points. And don't have to sit and mug up every single point of there. If you just read it twice or thrice, your brain is capable enough to remember these points, provided that you have understood them. So we'll focus more on understanding them. Then again, these are the issues. How can we improve? They have given you everything under one document. Okay, measures. What are the state government finances issues? This is also a good topic that UPSC often asks. And what are the tax expenditure? So every part of their syllabus is covered in great detail. Outcome budgeting is there. Then there's gender budgeting. Then green budgeting is one of the favorite topics of UPSC. There's also there. What are the advantages? So the one thing is there, which is there, that suppose a bouncer question of some sorts come that you are not able to answer. That is a different thing. That there's a different way to handle it. But if the question is there that is from this document, you should be able to answer it very nicely. That is my point. You should at least read it once so that you're not stumped by anything that you have not even heard of. Even if you read it once comprehensively, then you will be able to understand and reproduce it in the examination. That will give you manifold returns. For bouncer questions, we can discuss it sometime else. But for these questions, which are core syllabus pointers, for these questions, you have to ensure that you read this document, understand and assimilate it. Okay. So what are the advantages? We have it mainstreams environmental auditing, it accelerates net zero timelines, it protects global trade value, it reduces fuel imports, it attracts global capital, it promotes sustainable farming, it spurs green employment, and it's lower the disaster costs that are there. So these are the things that you have to understand, that okay, I could have, you, the thing is, you also could have thought of these points. It's not like you could not have thought, but once you get it structured in a document like this, your brain automatically registered, say if you were to able to register only 3 to 4 points in your whole copy, if you were to just brainstorm it, but now that you have 8 of them, your brain will automatically register those 4 points that you were not able to generate. So the next time somehow if you are answering this question or a question somewhat related to this, you already know the 4 points that you have generated, but these 4 dimensions, since you have already made a mistake on this and human brain learns from mistakes, your brain will automatically generate these 4 dimensions in that related answer as well. So that is why it is very important to brainstorm and write answers and have a document like this that helps you in understanding what all other dimensions that you could have thought of. So read them once, read the entire document once, take the topic, form a question yourself and just think on the dimensions. That is the best way you can use this document as well. Again, this is the, if there's a question in government steps, you can use this directly. You can use this as substantiation to make your points in way forward. If there's way forward, so you can use leveraging carbon capture focus. You can go for rooftop solar scaling. We can use sovereign green bonds. We have custom duty relief. They have nuclear energy transition that we can go for. Then we have subnational tracking, SAB ka BRSR framework. Then we have the green hydrogen mission as well. Issues, challenges, way forward, this all. Okay. So this is the broad economy part that I was discussing. Now let's go to the part wherein the agriculture part is there. In agriculture, there are approximately few important topics like MSP, fertilizers, irrigation, credit facilities, farmer distress, market linkage, supply side issues, demand side issues, market linkage, and last mile connectivity issues. These are a few micro topics on which it is very important to generate and learn point-wise format in which you can write your answers. It is extremely important to have very good comprehensive set of notes in one place, so that because the question broadly comes from these few topics only. Now, if you have prepared the schemes, the data and the generic points that are there for these topics, your life will become very easier, because you will save a lot of time in questions 3, 4, 13 and 14 that are of agriculture, and use that saved time to answer 1, 2, 11 and 12 questions that are of economy. So it is very important that you prepare the agriculture part of the economy syllabus very, very thoroughly and very nicely. And I have found X Factor notes are very good in this regard. If you were to see, the first topic is major crops and cropping patterns. So now if you were to see, they have given the data. So in your own data sheet, what you got to do is you have to make a data sheet of yourself in which you will say, okay, sector share 18%, employment 46%, 85% marginalized, record production 358 million. So that you revise it, relocate it, so that that data kind of registers in your brain, so you can use it directly when you're quoting a point as a substantiation metric. Then they have given a very holistic coverage of it. What are the classification of crop, food crop, cash crop, horticulture, plantation, fiber, seeds. Then there's cropping patterns. Again, use it as smart art. Monocropping, intercropping, crop rotation, relay cropping, mixed art, multiple cropping, to show the examiner that you are well versed with the topic. Again, so now comes the core part. So what are the factors? Now you know a lot of things that are there that can impact. What are the cropping patterns? What are the factors that influence the cropping patterns? So if you were to look, there's the climatic factors, then there's the soil types, then there's irrigation, then there's technology, then there's economic factors, government policy, land holding, climate change. And if you were to look, these are the factors that will affect every part of agriculture as well. Climate will affect every part of the agriculture. Soil type will affect every part of agriculture. Irrigation facilities will every part of agriculture. Tech also, economic factors also, government policy, land holding, everything will affect agriculture in some way or the other. So if you were to prepare, say, this is just for the cropping pattern, but if you were to prepare, say, 20-25 of these kind of things, you can use them in every way. So that will reduce your effort in a way. The only thing that will remain is the data sheet, so that when you code the data directly into your points, you can use them directly in your answers as well, and it will give you marks, it will fetch you marks. What are the changes? Now this also you can remember. We are going from food to commercial, we are having an horticultural boom, we are moving towards pulses and coarser grain, then there's rice wheat dominance that is there, then there's oilseed expansion that is happening, there's organic growth, there's climate shift, then tech and superfood. So this is a very static thing, and this is the type of question you should try to write as many points as you can, because these are directly very much reproducible in the examination as it is. So we'll try to learn these, we'll try to understand, and so that our thinking broadens. I am not stuck on commercial and horticultural boom. I can think of points like rice and wheat dominance and how the oilseed expansion is happening. I can think on the organic part of the syllabus as well. This is why it is very important to have a comprehensive document like this to aid your UPSC journey. Again, see the same issues. There's the rice wheat dominance, then there's the regional imbalance, then there's low diversification, small land holdings, poor market linkages, weak credit facility, rain-fed dependence, and then there's soil degradation. It is the same points that we had in changing cropping patterns. Here we have written them as issues. That is what I was saying, that once you understand the main things that are happening, that are main challenges that we are facing, you can directly use them as issues, and you can use them solving the right wheat dominance as way forward. So if you know the issues well, and for knowing the issues well, you have to develop an understanding, and for understanding you need to have those issues at one place, and for that you can have documents like this, in which there is point-wise format, in which everything that you need is covered under one document, and that will help you sail through. Okay, then there's way ahead. There's agroecological approach, doubling farmers' income, crop diversification, sustainable practices, efficient water use, land consolidation, better market linkages, and reform and subsidy. This way ahead you can use for every agriculture question that comes. These points will fit in for every agriculture question. Say, if we have to improve farmers' welfare, they have to follow agroecological approach. We have to work on doubling farmers' income. We have to work for crop diversification. We have to ensure sustainable practices so that farmers can go on farming for long. Then we have to ensure efficient water use as well. Then we have to ensure that there's land consolidation for the farmer to earn better. Then there's better market linkages that should be there, so that the goods that farmer produce, the crops that farmer produce, he finds a market for them. And then there should be reform subsidies and MSP as well. So these are the kind of things that you have to focus on assimilating in yourself, understanding in yourself, making very crisp, comprehensive notes like this. If you just rely on the boldened part of this document, you are done for in the agriculture part, because it is so comprehensive in itself that you don't need anything else. There's the integrated farming system. You have the advantages: higher income, resource efficiency. This is what I was talking about exactly. If you see, if you are able to reproduce it in the examination as a smart art, your work is pretty much done for, because you have explained to the examiner that okay, I am aware of this part as well, that these are the components of integrated farming system that I can include, and use your knowledge, existing knowledge, very smartly in this regard. Okay. So these are the advantages: water conservation, lower pest incidence, risk mitigation, nutritional security, carbon sequestration. So if I were to just pose you a question earlier before I showed this slide, that what are the advantages of integrated farming system, you could have thought of higher income, you could have thought of increasing resource efficiency, you could have thought of improved soil health, you could have possibly also thought of water conservation. But let's say you could not have thought of lower pest incidence, you could not thought of lower risk mitigation, you could not have thought of nutritional security and carbon sequestration. But now, after once say you brainstormed this and you generated only 4 points, but now that you read these 4 points, you have automatically trained your brain. Whenever a challenge or whenever an advantage of any joint farming culture is there, you will think of pests, you will think of risk mitigation, you will think of nutritional security and carbon sequestration. This is the power of brainstorming using documents like these. Okay, that is what I'm trying to teach you here. So what are the challenges? There's high initial cost, then there's complex management that is there, then it's labor intensive, then there are market constraints, then there are land holding limits, then there's price volatility, then there's technical knowledge issue as well, these kind of issues. Okay, and now way ahead, if you were to see for way ahead, it is very easy to pick up one challenge and develop the way forward. Let us see: high initial cost, financial support; complex management, skill and training; labor intensive, market linkages; market constraints, cooperative farming; if there's land holding limits, then there should be policy supports; if there's again there's the price volatility, then there should be market linkages; technical knowledge, then there should be again skill and training. So measures like this, when you use your challenges even as way ahead, things become very easy for you, make your life easy. Apart from that, say now you have to learn these climate resilient models should be there, then there should be technology integration, then should be high value crops. Now this, when you brainstorm, you will see okay, these 3 points I didn't know, how you register them, highlight them, next time you highlight them with a different color. When you revise them next time, you will pay special focus to them. Okay, last time I did not was not able to learn these points, but this time I'll try to. Okay, again the topic of crop diversification is there, then there's the ZBNF. So this document covers it very holistically. Then there's the issue of rice wheat cropping system. Why was there a success? Now we can think of okay, so there must be green revolution, there's rice, so there's machinery access. But next time when I say I was to generate only 3, but then next time I see okay, there should be it is agroclimatic fit. Yeah, yes, it is agroclimatic fit. So next time I will write this point for everything. If there is a question on millets, why should we switch to millets? We can write agroclimatic fit. It will make our answer look better, and we have one good keyword here also. Then there's nutrient synergy. We can write for millets as well. Then there's irrigation is not well irrigated there. Then there's assured MSP. Then there's buffer stocks. Everything of this sort. Okay. So what I'm trying to teach you is use documents like this to save your own time, because documents like these provide you one-stop solution at one place. It make your life so easy that you don't have to run behind different notes altogether, different topper notes and all. Read them, assimilate them, write them, reproduce them, learn from them, write again, write and write. Okay, then we have the pulses again. What are the reasons for decline? What are the steps taken? How should we improve? So if I were to ask how should we improve the declining pulses cultivation, what would you say? Okay, expand the MSP, seed supply increase, water management should be better, diversification should be promoted, post-harvest infrastructure should be there, boost research, credit insurance, stabilize trade. These all points you already know. I know that you know. You are coming after clearing prelims. You know that these kind of points are there that will improve the pulses. Okay. But to write them in the point format is the challenge. To think of them as different points is the challenge. And for this you need to write and If you have less time, then brainstorm. Try to generate 4 to 5 points. If you are able to generate 4 to 5, see this document. Okay, they have generated 3 more. Why was I not able to generate 3 more? Your brain will learn from its mistake. That is how you use this document, not just as a textbook, but also as a revising tool. You have the millets question, then the horticulture, oil seeds. See, they have given their initiatives in one place. NMIEO oil seeds, NMEO oil palm, NFSM, RKVY Raftar, HYV research. So this you have to look at, okay, from this perspective. These are the things that you use as your value addition in your answers, okay. And then they have sector specific as well. They have the cotton, then jute, then current affair notes. So as you can see, this documents provides you one-stop solution as well. So use documents like these. You can rely on this type of documents, especially when in the prelims and mains speech phase, to enhance your answer quality. See, they have covered it holistically. Okay, this is what you do. Now there's the topic of agricultural inputs. Then you have irrigation, one of the most favorite topics of UPSC. For irrigation, you have the data that 65 million hectare is irrigated. Net sown area is 141 million hectare. So there is a deficit of around 75 hectare that's not irrigated. Water share, irrigated area, productivity gap. Use this data on your develop a one-stop sheet for this data to make substantiation in your answers possible. Okay. Then these are the traditional methods you can use again in smart art, like this hub and spoke model. Factors determining topography, soil type. Again, what all will affect agriculture will affect irrigation as well. So once you learn, as we were saying earlier, topography will affect, soil type will affect, climate rainfall will affect, surface water will affect, groundwater, crop type, installation cost, government support, everything will affect the irrigation. So develop your thinking in such a way. Okay, that is what I am trying to teach you here. So in agriculture, this is all we will try. Then there's agricultural credit. It is a very important topic for UPSC. Good. See, you can use this line as intro. Agricultural credit rose to 20.7 lakh crore, and the ground level credit target for this is 27.5 lakh crore. Or a data backed intro with a very nice data, enough to substantiate, to start an answer, to give an impression to the examiner that this guy knows what he's writing. Again, key data they have given at one place. Okay, what are the types? Short-term credit, medium-term credit, long institutional sources, non-institutional sources. What is the importance? Issues, government schemes that are there, fertilizer industry, problems, steps taken, way ahead, seen in industry. So this is what you have to do on your this document. As you can see, feminization, everything in this document is very comprehensively covered. Everything they have covered very nicely. So use these kind of documents for your preparation to make them and to make yourself understand the topics that are already there in your copy. So I'll just revise. So I'll just sum it up in a bit. What I'm saying is, stepwise, if I were to say, steps to prepare. Okay. 1. Use docs like X factor notes to develop understanding. Very important. Pick topics and brainstorm them. Suppose they have given you 8 points. You were able to generate only 4. Now this 4 is already there with you. You have already them. But the next 4 that are there in the document, you assimilate them and understand them and learn them to make a sense of what the topic entails. Okay. Now, there was another topic in the document, as we were discussing in the agriculture part. If there was again a topic similar, then you do is you generate points, and you see that you should ensure that these 4 points, if they were possibly there, that could have been assimilated, you have to assimilate them, you have to generate them by yourself. This is the main thing that you have to do. So you use notes like these as a learning source, as a data source, as a value addition source, as a brainstorming source. Okay, so this is how you use these kind of notes to develop your understanding skills. I hope that this session was very helpful to you all. I look forward to meeting you all again. Good afternoon and have a nice day. Thank you.